Are we having fun yet?
What's up, guys? Starting off, killing Daddy-in-Law just to get things going. A little Han Solo action. This clip right here is a little heroes versus villains, and today we're gonna talk the February patch 1.05. And the clips you'll be seeing are a mix of clips from before patch 1.04 and from before patch 1.05. And we got a really good mix of stuff that we're going to talk about. This February patch covered a lot of stuff, mostly star cards, and it rolled out new content and fixed a lot of things that people have really been asking for. It's a perfect complement to patch 1.04, which we got and was heavy on the star card and weapon balance. So without any further ado, let's get right into it, starting with the new content and kind of going in order of what I feel like is the more important stuff, and then all the way down and cover everything. All right. First off, we got Jakku permanently patched into the game, and it's got this beautiful sunset look to it on Walker Assault now, and then looks really fantastic, and I feel like adds just the right motif to it. And we've got new Hoth map, Twilight on Hoth. There's a small version, big version, and a map for aerial assault, and it's playable across Walker Assault, Supremacy, Turning Point for the big maps, and Drop Zone, Blast, Heroes and Villains for the small maps, and then of course Fighter Squadron for the aerial map. I've got some footage of it. I only got a few good games in with it, but I got some on Supremacy. It's during the day. And Walker Assault is at night, and it's in a blizzard, and you got flares lit up all across, and I've got footage of all that good stuff, and you guys will get to take a really good look at it. Also, Turning Point, which was the mode introduced with the Battle of Jakku DLC, was only available on that map before, is now available across all big maps. And I'm super excited about having another big mode to play. I like this mode. There's less vehicles, there's no heroes and villains, and everything in Turning Point, everything moves, the flow of the battle moves in the opposite direction of Walker Assault. So it's going to add a really nice level of flavor to those maps and going back and playing those over again. So we're getting a good bit of a variety now. I mean, with this, we're up to 6 big maps. Pretty soon in March, we'll get another free update. And it's actually teased in the menu section. It looks like indoor. And indoor, it may even be like a burnt out indoor. I don't know how I feel about that per se. Because the indoor map is so fucking gorgeous that I would love to have another one just like it. But we'll see what they do with it. The night effect for Twilight on Hoth with the snow blizzard is amazing, and even Supremacy, and this is Supremacy right here, it looks gorgeous too. It's just a gorgeous map. It's got lots of different levels to it, very vertical. It's got caves, it's got an above ground section for sniping and longer range encounters, and then down beneath it. So there's tons of places to get flanked on it. It's going to take people a little while to kind of figure it out. I know it took me a little while. I've only got a few games in it, but I managed to get a little bit of good gameplay footage for you here. And at the end of the video, I've got a sweet streak and even a little Luke gameplay. And here we have some ATST gameplay, and this is Walker Assault at night, and you can see the snow moving. It's just a fucking gorgeous map. And if we're gonna get something like that for indoor, maybe like a burnout indoor, oh man, really kind of exciting. And all said, this patch is fantastic, and the future is very bright for Battlefront fans. Speaking of Walker Assault finally got the balance adjustment I've been asking for. I had previously asked for like a 15-20% buff on Walker health. What they've done is they've looked systematically at each map and basically increased Walker health differently. 18% Walker health increase on Hoth, 8% on Tatooine, a 20% walker health increase on indoor, which very much needed it, 4% on Sullust, and 5% on Jakku. It just shows, I think, that DICE is looking very closely at the stats and reading the data and hearing what fans have to say and reacting intelligently. They didn't just blanket it like a 10 or 20%, perhaps like I would have done. They looked at each map and balanced it accordingly to try to make those matches a little bit closer. And I gotta tell you, I can kind of feel the difference. I played a couple games on Jakku, kind of waiting to get into this game, and that little bit of difference I felt the difference in the games, and this is really good. Walker Assault should be a very, very balanced mode now, especially with the other changes that they made in this patch. One of the other big changes that they made was the A-Wing hitbox. People have been asking for this forever. The A-Wing was impossible to hit before, made Fighter Squadron very imbalanced, pretty much gave the Rebels complete air supremacy in supremacy and Walker Assault. And the hitbox has been increased, and yes, they're definitely a lot easier to hit. Now, for whatever reason, just my general, I played 2 quick games of Fighter Squadron. I don't necessarily feel like it's still there's something. The Rebels, I still feel air supremacy still favors the Rebels. But good pilots, at least they have a fighting chance now. So that is a good thing. Another thing that they did with the A-Wings is they can't ram AT-STs anymore with their shields without taking damage. One advantage they gave to Slave 1 is the Slave 1 was victim of being rammed by Rebel ships. It still relatively is, but at least now they've made a change so that an icon will appear above any ship that has a shield on it if you're in the Slave 1, so that you know that they have their shields to give you a little bit better chance of avoiding those. Also, to level the playing field in Walker Assault against the Rebels' air supremacy, your primary guns, the damage against air vehicles is increased by 10%. So it's going to allow you basically to shoot those snow speeders, do more damage, shoot ships that are strafing at you and do more damage to them, and basically give infantry a little bit better of a fighting chance against against air vehicles. Unless you're Han Solo and you're already a badass. But anyway, so guns, that is the only change they made to guns. They made big, huge changes in patch 1.04. See my previous video for all those changes as far as balancing guns. And guns right now feel very balanced across the board. I really like where guns are. They didn't make any changes there, and that's good. One other thing that they did as far as star cards concerned, basically to help against air vehicles, the speed of the ion torpedo was increased 30 meters per second, and its turning angle was increased from 120 to 125, and that's just going to make it a little bit better at hitting those ships with your ion torpedo on the ground, again giving infantry a chance against air speeders and basically rebel fighters who strafe you. And these are balances that are definitely kind of in favor of the Empire and go a long way towards balancing Walker Assault along with the Walker health changes that happened earlier. So really good news. These are really good changes, and I feel like as I play more, I will definitely let you know if anything, and I'm going to do a video about what I feel is left outstanding, because this patch is so good. I think it really closed the gap on most everything, but right now it looks very positive. DICE also did a little bit of buffing to kind of undo the over nerfing that they did. The bowcaster in particular, its explosive damage increased 5 per bolt, and the radius of the explosion per bolt decreased from 3 to 2.5. But they also increased the damage of the bolt itself. It went from 20 to 40 per projectile, and a normal direct hit increased from 20 to 30 per projectile. So a fully charged hit is going to do 40, I guess not counting headshots per se, but needless to say, it was very much over nerfed. the last time around. And now you can, jump casting is back. You can jump cast. It's more difficult than it was before. You have to get a direct hit. You can't rely just on the splash damage alone to take out your target. You actually have to hit the target with your bolt. But still, this is very much improved. Now, personally, I think they can go a little bit farther. I think they're being really careful with this star card and not overpowering it. But personally, I think that they could increase the bolt damage even a little bit more. I feel like they should do what they did with the cycler rifle. So if it's within 10 meters, it should be basically a one-hit kill if you get hit with that bolt. But that's just my personal opinion. They also buffed Barrage a little bit to compensate for over nerf. Its damage went from 50 to 55. Its cooldown got reduced from 40 to 35 seconds normal, or from 35 seconds to 30 seconds upgraded. And they fixed a bug where if you use the refresh card, your first volley would disappear if you fired a second volley. So they fixed a little bug there, and they gave it a slight buff. And this is probably a good buff, and Barrage is probably kind of right where it needs to be right now. Homing shot, oh dear, homing shot. It did get its lock time decreased from 1.5 seconds to 1.2 seconds. Now, I don't personally use this, but I do think that they over nerfed it. It should probably still go down to 1 second. Just my personal opinion about that. I still think that there's room to go with homing shot, and maybe even increase the projectile velocity just a little bit to kind of get it back to where it's a usable star card, because I still don't feel it's usable. But the cycler rifle, its movement speed while aiming was increased slightly, and most importantly, its bullet velocity was increased from 300 to 450 meters per second. That's almost a 50% increase in velocity. This is exactly what needed to happen with that gun, and it feels so much better. It's not as solid and as reliable as it was in the beta, not OP at all, but it still feels fucking good, and it's so gratifying to fucking pop a bubble boy with that thing. I am back to using my cycler rifle, and I think it's exactly where it needs to be. Now, the pulse cannon, a lot of people expected a big nerf for the pulse cannon, and thankfully DICE did not do that and did not listen to the crybabies. It's fine. But what they did do is decrease movement speed by 30%. So basically you can't use it kind of like as a shotgun and just pop out and hit people as well with it. But the end result is, pretty much if you're moving at all now with the pulse cannon, you will miss your shot. Another thing since the last patch, and I think it's worth mentioning it because I actually had a hard time with it myself. Since the last patch, if you come out of ADS too soon, your shot will go far wide or far right. You have to hold ADS in all the way for it to work. And so if you're having troubles with your plasma cannon post-patch, do those two things. Hold your ADS in until you see the person die, and don't fucking move. Now also, they also fixed an issue with the orbital strike, which, God, I just thought you had to hit the button a million times to make the thing go. But apparently there was a bug with it. That being said, I've used the orbital strike a few times since the patch. I still don't think they've quite fixed it yet, because it's still kind of fucked up. It still seems like half the time I press it, it doesn't go. But supposedly they fixed a bug with that. Maybe it'll be better now. Maybe it'll be a little bit more reliable. I wouldn't count on it though, based on my experience so far. Patch 1.05 also brought us some hero changes, mainly to the Rebel side of the fence. Now, Leia, she got her indoor outfit as a result of the community completing its challenge to play 102,817 hours as Princess Leia. So we got Leia in the indoor outfit, and it looks fucking dope. She also got a small change to Trooper Bane. Before, it would somehow knock back surrounding enemies. Now it only knocks back your primary target and puts them into that stun animation loop. which actually, speaking of, they fixed a bug with the stunt animation, so people won't get stuck in these stunt animation loops. So no more funny videos, unfortunately. Luke got some changes. They increased his saber rush damage against other heroes from 2% to 6 to 8%, depending on how you hit them. And they reduced the swing hit radius from 0.3 to 0.25 meters. And I think that you're actually going to feel this. It seems like I felt it a little bit. It seemed like I missed a few swings that I felt like I normally would have gotten before. But this is probably a good thing. And I'm really glad they upped the damage for the Saber Rush, because I felt like it didn't do enough damage against heroes. I mean, it's great against normal enemies, but it just did not do enough against normal heroes in like heroes versus villains. That being said, I don't think this is enough. I still feel like Rebels have a slight advantage in heroes versus villains, and these changes don't necessarily fix that. Han also got a slight bug fixed. Sometimes when you would zoom in with his gun, you get a scope, and that's just not going to happen anymore. But on the villain side, as far as heroes versus villains go, and all modes really, Palpatine Shock Troopers got a buff. Basically, they modified their primary weapon damage, their T-21 weapon damage, over time to match the Honor Guards, and this is going to allow them to stand toe-to-toe with Leia's Honor Guards. And this is a really, really good fucking change that actually really desperately needed to happen. Wrapping up a few other little things, they've now changed highest objective score to MVP and removed most kills and replaced it with highest score. And this is again the focus on objective play. Good move, DICE. Very much like it. So that's good stuff. In the screensaver, they've added the Gonk Droid. Yay, thumbs up to that. Gonk Droid is God. Amen to that. They've added some settings so you can turn off music now. They added a new mission in survival. It's survival, and the ice caves has been added to survival missions, so a little more single player content. And probably for PC, they've added film grain setting slider in the video menu. That being said, there's lots of other little bug fixes and tweaks along the way that aren't necessarily important. I will put a link in the description to the patch notes, and so if you want to go take a look at that, go check it out. They also lowered the pre-round timer from 30 to 20 seconds. Boo, I like my comrade time. They changed spawns in Supremacy and power-up spawns for Tatooine, Endor, and Sullust. And they changed the spawns themselves on Tatooine, Hoth, and Forest of Endor. Most of the rest are like smaller types of changes, bug fixes, just little graphical things. If you want to go check them out, like I said, go check out the full patch notes. Overall, I think this is a great patch. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Lucky signing out. Peace.